Excellent. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy belated Earth Day. Happy Earth Week. Welcome to the Energy and Sustainability Career Panel. Thank you to all of our panelists for being here and for all of my awesome communication students for setting this up. This panel is a group of engineers, project managers, an energy graduate student. We are all from the Facilities and Energy and Engineering Office. We are also called the Energy Conservation Office, and we also use that acronym ECO. We'll probably refer to ECO a lot just because it's the most fun and the one that we really like using. Our office is a team of engineers, project managers, as well as data scientists and communicators. We all come together to save energy on campus and connect with the campus community. Our panelists have green Zoom backgrounds today. And my communication students who will be asking questions and leading the rest of the panel have a navy blue background. Let's see. Just for a quick agenda, this is our welcome and introductions. Our panelists are Alex Malm, who's a Green Buildings project manager, Rhys Davis, an Energy Systems master's student and also a student researcher in ECO, Tom Ryan, an energy project manager, and Amy Burns, a sustainability manager. I'm going to keep that short and sweet because they're going to tell you a lot more about their backgrounds and their story. So I will hand it off to Maya to start asking the questions.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. We're so excited that you can make it and hear all about these awesome people and how they got to where they are and what they're doing now. So this first question is just for all the panelists, and it's just some general background. How long have you been at ECO, and what does a day in your life at ECO look like? So Amy, if we could start with you.
Oh, I think you're on mute, Amy.
So sorry, I didn't hit the button. I've been with ECO for 6 years, and before that I worked with the Office of Sustainability. But I've been with UC Davis for almost 12 years. I also worked with the Department of Public Health and did emergency response during H1N1. So that was, what was the other question? What does your day look like?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine is very broad. There's a lot of research, a lot of meetings with different people throughout building maintenance and the Office of Sustainability. So it's just, and then there's times that I do waste audits or I have to walk through a building for lead information. So every day is a little different for me.
Thanks so much. And I just want to mention before we keep going on, feel free, audience members, to put your questions in the chat. We will have a time at the end for dedicated questions as well. So Rhys, if we could hear from you, how long you've been at ECO and what a day looks like.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been at ECO for 2 years, which is how long I've been in the master's program at UC Davis. And I've really, a day in the life has looked like a lot of different things, from working on building energy audits to kind of helping develop projects with other team members. Right now, I am helping teach a pathway to zero net energy class, which is a project-based class with a collaborative class with my advisor, Kurt Kornbluth, and our campus energy manager, Josh Moorjohn. So I help put together the projects, which are on campus, off campus. It's a really fun class, and I highly recommend you all take it who are watching this panel. But yeah.
Thanks so much. Tom, if we could hear from you, how long you've been at ECO and what a day looks like.
Let's see, I think I've been with ECO coming up on 3 years now. I am an energy project manager, so it kind of depends on the projects I'm running. Part of my time is always taken up by Swarm, which Rhys was has been our grad student manager of that project. and is kind of moving on to Z&E and other things. So I need to find the next Rhys. So any grad students out there, I need one of you to work with us. So that's part of any given day. I also do just a lot of exploration for new projects. I help the engineers on the logistical side of projects, like finding out if the plans are correct. So I'll go to a building and do some exploration. Right now I'm helping our controls team with a lot of control panel upgrades. So all of the HVAC and a lot of the systems in these buildings, we have one main control panel and then other control panels there, and we're upgrading them so they'll be faster and better and supported. But yeah, it really depends on what kind of a project I'm doing. So sometimes I'm estimating, sometimes I'm coordinating and facilitating. I have a very malleable schedule, so I'll do all sorts of stuff. I'm the all around guy in the office, I guess.
That sounds fun. And then Alex.
So I've been with ECO for just over 3 years now. My main responsibilities are leading a student team, as well as managing our lead certification projects. So kind of like everyone else is saying, every day is a little bit different, but a few things I work on typically are project planning. So task management, following up with my team to discuss what the statuses of different tasks we're working on, as well as correspondence with our different campus partners. I also work with the energy team within our office to collect data as well as select buildings for future lead projects. I do a lot of document review, so just reviewing just any documentation that we'll be submitting for lead. So that's things like different project narratives or calculators, as well as audit reports, just looking for accuracy and completeness and all of those. And did we cover everything required by lead? Also just partnerships with various campus personnel is a really key part of my job. We work with them to review policy and documentation. I work a lot with Amy on this. Another part of my job is campus outreach, which I work with Kiernan's team to do. So we're just trying to expand green building education on campus through different channels. And then also sometimes I'm involved with different classes, like the Z&E class that Rhys mentioned. We have a project going with them right now. And then a lot of career development with my students. I try to help them to review their resumes or apply for jobs after they graduate. And I write a lot of letters of recommendation for my past students for either jobs or graduate programs.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, if the audience members haven't noticed yet, ECO hires a lot of interns. So as an intern myself, I can say it's a great place to work. Anna, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so I'm also an intern here, and my question for the panelists are, what were you guys doing before you came to ECO, and how did it help lead to your current role? And Alex, maybe we'll start with you and work backwards.
Sure. So before I came to ECO, I actually did my undergraduate degree at UC Davis in civil engineering, and I worked for the federal government for a few years in the Department of Energy. So after working there for about 4 years, I decided I wanted to pursue a graduate degree, and I decided to go for an MBA, which is Master of Business Administration. So I did that at the Graduate School of Management. And actually through that program, I took the Path to Zero Net Energy class, and I met my current manager, Josh. My team did a project for him. So I really learned about what ECO does, and I just thought it was really cool. Just the mission of saving the campus energy really resonated with me. And so I actually took another role upon graduating from the program, but had wanted to come back to the Davis area. I grew up around here, so wanted to make my way back, and reconnected with Josh to see if there were any opportunities, and kind of went back and forth for a while, and eventually something opened up. And so interviewed for that role and began working as a data analyst, and then eventually my current job opened up, and I had always been interested in green buildings and sustainability. So applied for that job, and that's where I am today.
That's awesome. Thank you. Tom, do you want to go next? The question is, what were you doing before you came to ECO, and how did it help lead you to your current position?
It's probably a bit of a long story, but I'll shorten it up a lot. I worked in construction for a very long time after I got my first bachelor's degree, 10, 15 years, let's just say that. And the one thing I noticed in construction was engineers have a real hard time with most stuff. But one of the main things was actually translating what you see on the plans to becoming a reality. So I said, well, I can do better than them. So I went back to school. I got my second bachelor's degree, a master's degree in civil engineering. I'm probably an outlier in that respect. Most people who get into energy are going to be mechanical engineers or electrical engineers. But I was very interested in the building aspect. And just looking at the building as a whole, the envelope, the roof, the materials, finishes, all that kind of stuff. So I came back to school, and I kind of met Josh and the whole group through my experiences at UCD as a student and doing different projects. I also took Z&E and helped Kurt with that class when I was a student for a bit. And so I met a lot of people and became very interested in working for ECO. And I worked for a private green tech company for a little while, and a position opened up, and I went for it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. We're glad you did. Rhys, do you want to go next? How did you get to this role, and what were you doing beforehand?
Yeah, so I guess immediately beforehand, I was working as a farmhand in Virginia, so that wasn't super related to getting this job. But prior to that, I worked, I was a student at Ohio State University in mechanical engineering, and worked for an energy consulting firm in Columbus, and knew I wanted to come out to California for grad school because there's a lot of cool energy things happening here. And turns out there's a lot that I didn't know about happening at UC Davis that is even cooler than I could have imagined. So I'm really glad that path led me to working at ECO. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And then Amy, what about you? What were you doing beforehand that led to your current role?
Mine's a little different. I'm a retired Air Force officer, and I did logistics for 20 years. And I deployed people and equipment worldwide. And I also was able to deploy to other countries. And I got really involved with management of hazardous waste while I was deployed. I saw some things I didn't like and really started studying that, and really got more into the sustainability world that way. A little different than the buildings, taking care of the equipment and the chemicals. And after I retired, like I said, I joined UC Davis, and I was working with the state doing emergency response. And I decided I didn't like that, and I really wanted to be in the sustainability world. So I took all of my background in policy and chemicals and all that, and started to applied with the Office of Sustainability. And I worked for years doing their policies. And then when that office was disbanded, I came over and worked with Josh and did the green building program, started the green building program.
And the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorby, you want to go next?
Yes. So my question is to Rhys and Tom. And the question is, what made you interested in energy, and how did you know it was right for you? So we can start off with Rhys.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I've always been interested in, the environment / sustainability. I don't know, I watched An Inconvenient Truth when I was in 6th grade and got all bummed out about the planet. So that was kind of my baseline. But I think when I came to college, I kind of found that renewable energy and kind of energy efficiency were these cool, really positive and kind of projects that could build up like a community while reducing our impact on the environment. So I think energy was like a cool way to, kind of help reduce our impacts on ecosystem and reduce like, climate displacement, while, creating value and wealth for everybody else. So I think it was an exciting thing. It was like a non-depressing way to work on climate change progress. So yeah.
Thank you. And what about you, Tom?
So, can you repeat the question just so I can?
Yeah. So what made you interested in energy and how did you know it was right for you?
I think like Rhys, I've always had a sort of passion for the environment and conservation. It has certainly developed over time from when I was a kid. It was very ideological, I guess. And I was very self-righteous about the whole thing. And, oh, we need to stop everything we're doing and go back to the Stone Ages. So and I think I've just developed my philosophy over time and thought about what I can do and I about any of it. And I think that's what made me really interested in getting into both energy and any kind of conservation efforts, is just to think about what I can do and try and do as much of it as possible. So this position affords me the opportunity to really feel like I'm working towards a positive solution in that respect.
Thank you. So I'm going to pass it on to Sheena.
Hi, so I have a question for Alex. Can you explain a bit more about what LEAD is and what jobs involve LEAD?
Sure. So LEAD stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And basically it's a voluntary green building rating system that assesses the sustainability of a building with respect to the physical asset and the built environment, as well as looking at its operations. And so it's probably the most well-recognized rating system, but there are many others out there. Some of the areas that it covers are water efficiency, energy performance, indoor air quality and comfort, sustainable purchasing and waste reduction. And those are just a few. And for our office, we actually pursue LEED for existing buildings. So we're targeting certification of older buildings that typically have had some recent energy efficiency improvements. Although the UC system has a goal to certify all new building construction projects under LEED. They also have a goal to certify existing buildings. So that's kind of where our office comes in. And for the second part of your question, in terms of job potential, there's kind of a lot of ways that LEED can fit into different jobs. There's, for example, a lot of construction or development companies or even large corporations that just own a lot of real estate that will use consulting companies to do LEED certifications for their different building projects. And they will use these consulting companies usually if they don't have any in-house expertise about the LEED or other rating systems. So on that note, LEED accreditation is just a good tool to have if you're working for like a builder or an engineering firm, for example, since it just kind of signifies that you understand green building principles. So you can build off that to gain experience within the green building field or even pursuing LEED certifications. And just having LEED accreditation means that you maintain a certification by taking an exam and doing some continuing education classes or being involved in projects. And there's a beginner one And then there's also a more advanced one if you're actually involved day-to-day in lead projects. And the beginner one is good for recent graduates to take, or even if you're still in school. It's pretty accessible, so that's a good option to look into. But in terms of other career paths, there's just a lot of companies focused on overall sustainability consulting. So just how can different companies improve like their environmental stewardship and overall sustainability performance within their operations to just align with best practices that are out there. So that is something that lead certification could be helpful in just terms of comparing how your organization or your building performs compared to other similar US buildings.
Thank you, Alex. It sounds like there's a lot of upcoming opportunities in leads. That's really cool. I think Maya has a question next.
Yeah, so this next question is for Amy. What skills are important for someone who works in a position or who wants to work in a position like yours or break into the sustainability field?
Yeah, I forgot to mention earlier that I do have my MBA, but it's more centered on human resources, so that's a little different. But I think that that really ties in with your question. I think having people skills, because we can do a lot of things to the buildings, but unless we change what people are doing in those buildings and their mindset, it's only part of the problem taken care of. I also think that project management skills is great, research skills, and then a broad understanding of sustainability in my position, because I work with different things every day in sustainability. And then just having a quick understanding of who you work for and what their goals are and what their take is on sustainability and how you fit into that and how you can improve that.
Yeah, that's a great response. That's very holistic. Anna, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so the next question that I have is for Tom. And can you tell us a little bit about your decision to go back to school and do a master's in environmental engineering?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so first off, I probably should tell you what my first bachelor's degree was in. It was actually technical theater, with a minor in, I think it was called environmental studies. So never really got a job in the theater. It was, I did some side work. I was always on the technical side. I was a lighting designer. And discovered that after that, I went into the Peace Corps in Kazakhstan. So I was there for a couple of years, came back, and I just needed a job. I was trying to break into international development, something career-wise there. That didn't really pan out. So I ended up just working for a local contractor for a while and just found that I just loved building. So I just kept doing it for a very long time and went from just a laborer to a carpenter to an all-around person, then became a superintendent and project manager that way. All the time trying to keep, quote unquote, green building in mind with whoever I worked for. I was always the guy who collected all the cardboard and tried to put the wood in the right bins and kept the job site clean and that kind of thing. And also suggested Energy Star appliances and that kind of thing for our customers. So going back to university was really a function of a few things, but one was just I was kind of beating the heck out of my body building houses. It's not something you can do forever, and it just starts to wear on you. And I saw old men who couldn't raise their arms above their shoulders anymore because they had torn this and destroyed that. And I didn't want to be a cyborg. So I decided, you know what, I'm pretty smart. I can do engineering. And I did. I went back and got my second bachelor's degree in engineering. And then I had a professor who really needed me to do some project stuff. And he said, hey, if you do this project stuff for me, I'll pay for your master's degree. And I was like, I don't need a master's degree. But he's like, he kind of convinced me to do it, and I did. Yeah, so the master's degree was something I wasn't originally intending to do, but I'm glad I did it. It afforded me to learn a lot more, and now I have that extra degree. And I'm currently taking my professional engineer's license. I'm about this far away.
That's cool. It's funny how life works out like that.
Yeah, it's whatever you're planning, it's probably going to change. So just keep that in mind and go with the flow.
Thank you. Sarapi, I think you have a question next.
Yes, my question is for Rhys. Can you tell us a little about the energy graduate group and the Zero Net Energy class, what you do and when it's offered?
Yeah, so the Energy Graduate Group, EGG, as we call it, it's a relatively newer graduate program at UC Davis. It's about 4 years old now, but it's associated with the Energy Efficiency Institute out at West Village, which they've been doing some really cool things around energy in California for a long time. And the focus of it, kind of the reason it was created, is there was kind of this vacuum in energy graduate programs for, people who wanted to study both like the kind of technical side of energy, but also understand how it played into policy of energy, kind of how energy economics and projects move forward. So you really get a good balance of like learning about energy policy, learning about kind of energy project management, and learning about new energy technologies on like the building side, on renewable energy generation side. So it's a really cool holistic program. You get to work with a lot of different people. Like a lot of my good friends are working in fields totally different than me, but all just trying to kind of help decarbonize our economy. The Zero Net Energy course is a course that's been around even longer than the Energy Graduate Group. And it's something that I briefly mentioned earlier, but my advisor, Kirk Kornbluth, has been kind of teaching it as part of his curriculum. And it's, you basically are assigned a project. It's a mix of graduate students and undergraduate students from all different disciplines. There's a theme here of working with people with different backgrounds, but you basically get assigned to a project. It could be doing an energy audit. It could be doing like a feasibility study for, like, we've got a group working on a farm sustainable development feasibility project. It could be being a home energy consultant for folks in Davis. So there's a lot of different options. And you basically work on that project throughout the quarter. You learn how to do project management. You learn how to do energy audits. You learn about just different aspects of energy systems. And all the while you're kind of working on this project, getting real client interaction experience. So I think it's a really great course. You get to meet a lot of cool people and get a lot of real world experience. And it happens in the spring every year.
Thank you. Sounds awesome. So if anyone's interested, now. I'm going to pass it on to Sheena.
So I have a question for all the panelists. What advice would you give to a recent graduate or senior at UC Davis?
So you just graduated and you're aimlessly, you just want to know what to do?
Yeah, or if you have any advice on how to best take advantage of, maybe your last quarter or year at college, anything like that.
Well, I would say just no matter what you do, even if you don't end up immediately going into energy as your primary, find something about it that you're passionate about and do it. And just keep working on it and keep checking out different aspects of the industry until you find what you're really passionate about. And you can be happy about doing day in and day out for the rest of your life, because there's no more homework unless you're going to be a teacher, but you're going to be at the same job for, 40 hours a week. So it'd be great if you liked it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Passionate about and that you like doing.
Yeah, I would second what Tom said. And just, I know there's so many people that they graduate and they think, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make the money and I'm going to get the job of my dreams. It doesn't always happen that way, but take those opportunities instead of, pitfalls and go with it. I've been, I got out of the military after 20 years, no idea what I was going to do. But I knew what my strengths were and I knew what my interests were. I had to move around once, but I got into UC Davis in a job where it's diverse enough that it meets all of my needs and I can see myself staying there. So if there's an opportunity and you think it's on the verge of what you want to do, take it, move around, do different things and really grow and know who you are.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I guess something I wish I had known upon graduation and joining the real world and starting a career is getting the job is only the first step. I think being on a university campus, you're really lucky in the fact that you're with a lot of like-minded individuals. There's tons of groups you can get involved in to kind of explore your passions or just find hobbies or anything. And everything is available to you. I think once you start a job, you have to do a little bit more of the work on your own. So for example, networking is huge. Once you get into a job, I think it's important to take advantage of the fact that you're new and take the opportunity to, try to get meetings with people within your company to learn about what they do. If they have a job title that you think sounds exciting or sounds like something you may want to do in 5 or 10 or 15 years. I have found from all of my jobs that people are very willing to take time to talk to young professionals and give advice or just kind of explain their career path. So it kind of gives you an example of things that you can do to eventually get into that job if that's your target, or just understanding how the company operates and what stepping stones there are to a future management job, for example. But like I said, you kind of have to put in the effort and make sure that you're just always learning more and exploring your passions, because I think unlike when you're pursuing a degree and kind of have requirements you have to tick off, or you have access to different people in different groups and things, like I said, you just have to take more initiative and make sure you're prioritizing your professional development.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody just said. I also just want to note that I think that there's kind of an overwhelming amount of pressure that gets put on students in their last year or so of school and trying to figure out what their life looks like after college. I think it's just worth noting that people get jobs, people will get jobs that they only stay at for a year or two and move. The next move does not have to be what you do for the rest of your life. And it's really cool, I think, to do something that, you weren't really planning on doing. So I think, taking out a weird opportunity that kind of presents itself is a fun thing to do. And really it's worth doing. I worked on a farm after I graduated school, and it was great. I learned a lot of things that I would not have learned otherwise. It did not really, deter me from what I wanted to do later in life. And I think it's just worth exploring your options. I think, you're still very early in your career stages. And so you don't need to try to be at the place you want to retire from right out of undergrad. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And just to add to what Rhys mentioned, I think you heard from our panel today, a lot of us or all of us have had plenty of jobs, and your first job that you land with, as he mentioned, is not your final destination. But I think it's important to take risks too, especially early in your career, when you're able to do that, because often as you get more comfortable in a job, it's harder to take risks, or you just have other obligations you have to consider. So when you're first starting out, it's easier and more rewarding to take those risks sometimes.
Yeah, this is some great advice. As a soon-to-be graduate myself, I'm like soaking this all in. So thanks for all that. I'm going to pose one more question to all the panelists, and then we'll move into audience questions. So if you have any, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand later on. But kind of a nice one to end this off. What's your favorite thing about working at ECO? And maybe this also is a bit of advice about what to look for in a workplace. So Amy, should we start with you?
I think ECO was 100% outside my normal with the green building, well, the energy conservation part. So I've learned so much. Everybody at ECO is willing to train you if you have any interest in how HVAC works or anything like that. And even in facilities, they've taught me so much, and it's been great. And what was the second part of the question?
Well, maybe there's like some advice about what to look for in a workplace for recent graduates.
Yeah, I was thinking about this early when everyone was talking. I think that it's easy to think it's your job and it's a good job for you, but the people really make your job because you spend so much time with them. And then your leadership, how do they care for their people? Because it can be an amazing job, but you hate being there. So you've got to weigh those, have a good balance there to where you're not unhappy every day. So.
Yeah, super important. Rhys, do you have that?
Yeah, just first of all, what I love about working at ECO is, this was more apparent when we were in person, but even still in the last year, it's been true. Like just having this diverse group of people with, different backgrounds, but also different stages in their career. Like having so many students in the office is really fun because, I see people who are doing different things in their undergraduate experience than I did, and getting to kind of see what's happening there, but also getting to see people who've been in the energy industry for 10 plus years is really cool. And, just through all of it, like I probably have learned more from my ECO experience than I have from many of my classes, which I love a lot of my classes, but it's just having like that kind of hands-on experience where you can just go ask people how things work is way more helpful than learning about it in a textbook. So that's what I've loved. And I think just on what to look for, like in a workplace, and I'll include like a graduate program if any of you are interested in that. Just like talking to people who work there, like people who aren't paid to say good things about the workplace. If it seems like they're happy and they like working there, it doesn't have to be the most social environment, but if it just seems like they enjoy their life, their kind of work-life balance there, you shouldn't go somewhere where it seems like everybody is really unhappy and works more than they want to or doesn't enjoy their work. It's because it's probably going to be not great. So I just think, if you can kind of just get a feel for how people feel about working there, that's the best indicator of how it's going to be.
Yeah, that's great. And thanks for including graduate groups in there too, because that's definitely something to think about. Tom, what's your favorite thing about working at ECO? And if you have any advice on the workplace?
Well, I would say that the thing that I like most about ECO is something that I probably wouldn't have realized that I liked if this had been my first job. I've worked for a very large number of companies, just doing a lot of different things. So I think that one of the things that I love about working at ECO is the freedom that it affords. I'm an energy project manager, but I can kind of choose what I put my attention to. And if I'm really interested in a certain thing, I can pursue that myself, which is something that not a lot of companies would allow you to do. There's a lot of opportunities to educate yourself, to become better at certain things, whether that be as simple as Excel, or if you're looking to learn how to draft, or doing energy audits, if you want to learn how to do that. I mean, it really, or project management. If you don't know the ins and outs of project management, you want to start to run projects, that's something that there's just a lot of freedom. I think that's the main takeaway.
Yeah, I've noticed that eco is very collaborative and there's a lot of space to develop your skills. Alex, you want to round it out here?
Yeah, I don't have a lot new. I agree with everything that was mentioned already, but I think my favorite thing about working at ECO is just the people and the passion. I think everyone genuinely loves what they do, and you can tell. And it's cool to be in meetings with different people and hear about the projects they're working on. I'm always amazed when people are sharing just progress updates on things that they're working on, or, you know, Kieran showing her cool new websites, or our energy team sharing all the energy savings measures they've been working on. But there's just always something new and exciting going on. And I definitely agree with what Tom mentioned about the freedom to, you know, work on things that just make you excited each day. And I think in my past jobs, there's always been something I didn't really enjoy about the job. And I think with this job, it's different, because if I don't like that, then I can kind of pivot to something else or change the process so that it's easier. We have a lot of freedom to do things in a way, you know, that's easiest to get the job done, rather than following. I mean, there's always some kind of policy you have to follow, but I think compared to other jobs, there's just a lot of freedom to do things in a way that's, you know, innovative and more efficient. So, and we definitely get rewarded for, you know, suggesting different improvements to projects and things like that. And then the other thing is just always getting to work with students. I love having a student team. You know, sometimes it's hard when students graduate, and I had enjoyed working with them for months or years, but you know, there's always new additions to the team that bring new ideas, and they always have different personalities that are fun to work with. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah, that's great. And if anyone's interested, when there are openings for interns, those go on Handshake, and we try to advertise them through listservs and things, but Handshake is where you can normally find them. So Kiernan, I think you're going to stop the recording now, just so anyone in the audience can feel free to speak up